You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.
3, 2, 1, 0.
What's up, gang? What's going on? Sorry about that. A little bit of technical difficulties off the hop there with the microphone, but I think we got it all figured out here now. Yeah. So here we are, 4-3, New York Rangers over the Montreal Canadiens. Unlucky, I think, for the Canadiens tonight. I don't think they deserved to lose that game tonight. Honestly, I think they were the dominant team. If I am being honest with myself, I think they were significantly better than the Rangers tonight. I think they got hosed by the referees a little bit. We'll talk about that in a second. What do we got? We got Zach and we got James. Refs gave them the game. How is it possible for Armia to foul himself? Yeah, absolutely. And that was just one example of the referees playing a big part in that game tonight. But let's get to that in a second. But yeah, the refereeing was horrendous tonight. I've said that before. I typically don't blame the referees for the result of the game. I'll often say that they're bad, but that they didn't really affect the outcome of the game. That wasn't the case tonight. Tonight, the referees were absolutely horrible, and they affected the result of the game. The Canadiens dominated the New York Rangers tonight. They were the much better team from the very beginning of the game. Unfortunately, the calls on the ice by the referees not only gave the Rangers a number of power play opportunities, but it also sort of slowed down the Canadiens' the momentum that they had gathered, especially in the first period when they looked really, really good. And then, things just got shut down. Like it was hard to watch, to be honest with you, because honestly, they were playing really, really, really well. They were looking really, really good into the second period. The Josh Anderson penalty late in the second period was a disaster call. It certainly put the kibosh on the Canadiens. The progress they were making, the momentum. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to get something set up here. The momentum that they had built up for themselves, was really quite good at that point. And that penalty just kind of shut them down. It slowed them down. It stopped them from being able to continue with their momentum. Again, the referees I thought really were tough on the Canadiens tonight. Like I said, it's hard to blame the referees for a win or a loss, and I don't typically do that. I've complained about the referees in games where the Canadiens have won. I've complained about the referees in games where the Canadiens have lost. And I've said it many times when the Canadiens have lost that, the referees were bad, but they didn't really, cause the Canadiens to lose. I think tonight, if it weren't for the referees, I think that the Rangers would have come out second place tonight. So let's get to the scoreboard real quick, and I'll show you a little bit about what I mean. So the scoring, first period, you have Panarin scores sort of about 9 minutes into the first period on the power play. Again, like a bit of a tough call. I mean, I don't know. It's a two-man power play. The Canadiens kind of get, in a little bit of trouble that way. They do manage to come back about 2-3 minutes later on a goal by Matheson. And then at the very, very end of the period, Trocheck manages a goal. A tip-in shot, again, a tough goal to let in late in the period, but they did. Second period, Zibanejad on the power play again. The invisible call on Josh Anderson, right? The call that didn't exist, or the penalty that didn't exist and got called on Anderson. Not only, did it stop the Canadiens' momentum, but it gave the Rangers another power play opportunity, an opportunity to score a goal. The third period, the Canadiens come on really, really strong. Caulfield and Suzuki both score goals. they're right back in the game. It's 3-3. It's looking really good. And then with about 5 minutes left in the game, Kirby Dach takes a double minor for a high sticking. I have no problem with that call. It was obviously a high sticking. The opposing player was bleeding. You can't blame Dach for that. It's just like a random, accidental play. It sucks. But the Rangers score on that power play. But again, no call. Armia gets dragged down along the boards about 5 seconds before the puck goes in the net, and the referees completely swallow their whistle, right? They're calling ticky-tack penalties against the Canadiens all game, these cheap, chintzy calls, and putting the Canadian, the double minor on Arbor Jackeye, like the Rangers are getting in scrums after every whistle, right? It's clear that that's their strategy, right? They're in there to try and throw off the Canadiens' young defensemen and smaller defensemen, whether it's, Hudson or less physical defensemen, I guess I should say. And they're definitely trying to stir things up after every single whistle. And the Canadiens do any type of pushback whatsoever, and they get penalized for it, right? Jackeye does absolutely nothing in that scrum. He goes in and he basically does the job that the linesmen were refusing to do, right? The linesmen are standing there letting it happen. And so Jackeye grabs two guys and hauls them out of the fray, doesn't throw a punch, doesn't even, not a face wash, not a nothing. Doesn't hit anybody with his stick. He doesn't do anything. He just pulls them off of the pile, and he gets a double minor out of all of that. It's just, I don't get it. And the whole thing starts because the Rangers defenseman gets his stick up in Slavkovsky's face. And the Canadiens end up shorthanded on that. So I don't get quite what was going on there. I'd like to go through the other aspects of the scoreboard here quickly, if I could, with you guys. The shots were pretty even, but again, the majority of those shots for the Rangers would have come on the power play. Let's have a look at the numbers here. So 5-on-5 shots on goal, 24-20 for Montreal on 5-on-5. So a little more dominant. But again, when we get into high danger scoring chances, 18-6, right? Hey, Frank, what's going on? 18-6, the Canadiens outchanced the Rangers tonight, including 10-3 in the second period and 4-2, I believe, in the third period. Yeah, so dominant play by the Canadiens as far as, scoring chances were concerned from the very beginning of that game. Again, just, every time they got the ball rolling, the referees decided to throw a monkey wrench into the situation. Hi, Hunter. How you doing, man? Thanks for coming by. We'll get to the chat here in a second. Expected goals. The Canadiens, again, were dominant. 3.7 to 2.4, including a pretty dominant second period where they were almost 2-1 in expected goals. For the totality of the game, the Canadiens had 61% of the expected goals. So, again, they looked pretty good. It's hard to complain about a game like that, where you're getting that many opportunities compared to your opponent, especially when you look at 5-on-5. If you go to 5-on-5, the Canadiens had 2.9 to 1.5 for expected goals. So another example of NHL refs not having a clue what they're doing. I agree, Hunter. Again, I don't get it. And like I said, I don't think there have been any games this year, maybe one, where I would have said that the refereeing actually affected the score or the outcome of the game. That doesn't mean that the refereeing has been good. In fact, it's been quite terrible for the most part. I don't think I've seen very many games this year where I'd say that the refereeing was up to par. But tonight it definitely did. Tonight the referees were the deciding factor of the game. Period. No debate. I'm happy to talk to anybody in the comments that doesn't agree with that or has anything contrary to say. Hey guys, what's going on? If you're over there on TikTok, I see you over there. Follow the instructions on the screen behind me. We're over on YouTube doing Habs After Dark. We'd love to have you come over. If you want to join the conversation, just join YouTube, the channel is Recliner Sports 4. So all you have to do is just come on over, join the chat. We're having a good conversation here, and we'd love to have your input and have a conversation with you. So it's easy to come on over. Just hit that button, come on over, and subscribe and join the conversation. So let's get to the... What are we going to do here? We're going to do the A team. So the A team, guys, is our version of the 3 stars. We pick 4 players who we think really had a good game for Montreal. There were a lot of options tonight, a lot of guys to choose from. But let's have a look without further ado. Actually, let's do this. Yeah. So here's your A team, guys, for tonight. I probably should have put Josh Anderson first on the list, but I did put Cole Caulfield. Caulfield with another very good game. 2 points tonight, I believe, goal and an assist. Let me check to be completely accurate. Make sure that I got that right. Yeah, goal and assist for Caulfield tonight. He now has 14 goals on the season. Just another good game for Caulfield. I think he's really made huge strides in his game. Those things that he was working on last year to improve his game as a whole, I think, are certainly coming around now. His ability to sort of create offense as opposed to sort of being the finisher, which he definitely is. He still has the capability to finish, but he's, his skating is much better. His defense is much better. And he's creating plays for other teammates like he did tonight. So Josh Anderson, I love Josh Anderson. I mean, if you're a Canadiens fan and you don't like Josh Anderson, I mean, I just don't think you're paying attention. I don't think you know what you're talking about. I mean, I get it. His contract is high, and they're when he came to Montreal, there were expectations that he might be a 30-goal scorer, and it's become clear that that's probably not going to happen. But again, tonight he had 0 points, but he contributed in a ton of different ways. He only played 12 and a half minutes, but he was just so impactful in so many different ways. The fight at the beginning, obviously, beating the shit out of Trouba. Again, I'm not a huge proponent of fighting. I'm not a guy who, gets all horny when there's a hockey fight. I don't sort of get all excited about it like some people do. But at the same time, I think, a fight like that early in the game as, retribution for a dirty hit in a prior game that never really got sorted out, and to actually win the fight and do quite well, I think, goes a long way with the rest of your teammates. So I thought that, that alone was enough to put Anderson on my A team, but I thought otherwise he played quite well tonight too. He had hits, he had a couple block shots. I just thought he had an all around game. I thought he played really, really solidly, and I enjoyed every aspect of his game. I just want to, maybe here's a good point to touch on. I don't know if you guys remember when the Trouba hit happened. I offered my opinion about, the idea that you have to sort of, you have to get a guy back almost immediately after a hit happens, right? People were commenting that, there can't be a delay. The impact has to be immediate. And if a guy hits your guy dirty, you've got to fight him right away. Otherwise, you're going to lose respect to your teammates. And I don't believe that. I think that's complete bullshit. Like it's a joke. It's and to me, what happened tonight with Anderson, 2-3 weeks later, taking on Trouba and actually really, sorting the situation out and meeting out real retribution. Goes a lot further than, a guy like Matheson having to jump in immediately after the hit, taking an extra penalty, and, ultimately losing the fight to Trouba. So I was really happy with what Anderson did there at the beginning of the game. Next on the list is Nick Suzuki. I thought he had a really good game as well. He and Caulfield are obviously clicking. I just wish that they would put put that first line back together permanently and just leave them alone. Let them do their thing. They're so good together. Um, you know, just let them play together. Like, just, I don't get it. I get that you're trying to get other things going elsewhere in the lineup, but I'm not a believer in mixing up the lines like that. And I just wish that Marty St. Louis would put that first line, the Caulfield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky line back together, and just let them do their thing. It's just, I don't know. Maybe when Line A comes back, that'll happen. Hopefully that'll happen. But I just wish it would happen sooner rather than later. So, and finally, Arbor Jackeye. I think Arbor Jackeye is turning into a very good NHL defenseman. And I don't even mean a good third pairing defenseman. I think he's turning into a very good NHL defenseman, period. His defensive game is more than solid. He's definitely grasped the new defensive system as well as any defenseman on the team at this point. I know he struggled a little bit. I just think his physical game, there was that one hit he took behind the net that didn't look great. I think he kind of let his guard down a little bit. But his physical game tonight, his stepping up for his teammates in the scrum after the whistle, despite the fact that the referees seem to have a bounty out for him, and no matter what he does, they seem to to treat him differently than other players on the ice, which I think is complete bullshit. But it is what it is, and they do it. But I think he had a fantastic game tonight. I like seeing him with Struble. Tonight he did all right with different pairings. I think they mix things around a little bit, but I think he does really well with Struble, and I'd like to see the two of them stick together a little bit long term. I know I do still have faith in Barron, but in a way I kind of would like to see him kind of get out of the way a little bit. Whether that means he gets traded or something else, I don't know. So yeah, unfortunately, Struble kind of gets moved in and out of the lineup a little bit to make room for Barron and whatever. So. Let's get let's address some questions. We'll do the report card here in a second, guys. But I'm losing faith in Doc. He is supposed to be the number one center. I didn't think Doc played that badly tonight, if I'm being quite honest. I mean, he's struggling. I get it. I'm not losing faith in him yet. I don't think there's any value in losing faith in him, really, because, I mean, he's not going anywhere. I don't agree with you that he's supposed to be the number one center. I don't think that was ever supposed to be the case. I don't think that was ever supposed to be the plan. But yeah, I mean, is it difficult to watch him struggle? Yeah. I think he's shown signs of improvement. I wish he would have dropped the gloves with Lafreniere when he had the opportunity there tonight. That hit was a little bit late. You could argue, I guess, the hit on Berard. But, I would have liked to seen him and Lafreniere go toe-to-toe. I think he would have done quite well in that fight, and it might have given him some confidence. Again, I didn't think he stood out negatively in any way tonight. Let's see what his numbers look like. Let's see over here. Go down. Expected goals. Giveaways. Yeah, so he's pretty good there. Expected goals percentage. Yeah, expected goals percentage tonight. He was second on the team. Right? He had an 82% expected goals percentage tonight. That means he is on the ice. So expected goals for and expected goals against were 82% in his favor. So yeah, I mean, I don't, that's a positive to me. Obviously he didn't play a ton of minutes. Obviously he's playing in a lesser role and he's getting shielded a little bit. But yeah, I think it's a little early to say that, Mark. Doc is a 3, Suzuki is a 2. I mean, Suzuki's not a 2. If you think Suzuki's a number 2 center in the NHL, you're just not paying attention. If he's your number 2, you've got one of the best combinations in the NHL as far as 1-2 goes. Suzuki is not a number 2 centerman. You're not going to convince me that there are even 20 centermen in the NHL that are better than Suzuki, let alone 32. So, that's fine. You can believe that if you want, but a guy who's a point per game guy and one of the best two-way forwards in the league is not a number two center. It's just not factual. Um, you know, do you want to have a guy who's a better number two behind Suzuki? Absolutely. You want to have somebody who's a solid number two. If you've got Nathan McKinnon or Connor McDavid as your number one center, yeah, you can afford to have a bigger step down to your number two. But Suzuki is I would say at this point, a mid-level first center in the NHL. And if you count his defensive contributions, then I think he probably even moves a little higher in the ranking as far as that's concerned. Does Doc need to be better? Absolutely. I don't think you can say Doc is a number three. He's playing like a number three or a number four. I mean, Doc isn't a number three anyway because his skill set doesn't lend itself to be a bottom six forward. Quite frankly, he would have to change his game significantly in order to be a bottom six forward. But again, he's not playing up to a number two. I will grant you that. But what we've seen from him in the past, he's definitely capable of playing a second center role. No, that's not true, Daniel. When they traded for him, they were not expecting him to be the number one center. You can point me in the direction of anything that would say that. Would it have been great if he would have surpassed Nick Suzuki and become the number one center? Yeah, absolutely. If he had, lived up to some of the, the expectations that were on him when he was drafted in the first round. I think he was drafted 6th overall, something like that. Maybe even higher. I'm not sure. Yeah, that would have been great, but I don't think that was ever an expectation. I don't think there was ever any expectation that he would become a number one center. Yeah, obviously it would be great if he did, but I don't think it would be accurate to say it was an expectation. Hey guys over on TikTok, I see you over there. Come on and join us on YouTube. We are having a chat over here on YouTube. The channel is Recliner Sports 4. The show is Habs After Dark. If you want to be part of the conversation, come on over, hit the subscribe button, and get in the chat. Get in the conversation. All right, guys, let's have a look at our report card for tonight. We'll go here. I thought it was a very good game for Montreal tonight. I thought they were the better team. I thought they were the dominant team. I thought they deserved a lot better. I thought the referees didn't help them out at all. But overall, I thought the game was quite positive, step in the right direction. Obviously, it's difficult to go into the dressing room after a loss and feel positive about it. But there were, everything was positive tonight. So allow 3 or fewer goals. They didn't achieve that. They allowed 4 tonight. Unfortunately, that's a fail. 3 of those goals were on the power play, I believe. They did score 3 or more goals, which is a goal that I have. Hey, Ronnie, what's going on? Special teams, I'm going to give them a fail. They scored 0 goals on the power play, and they allowed 3 goals against. I think that's a pretty clear fail, especially relative to how they've been all year. Engagement, effort, and energy. I thought they brought a lot of engagement, effort, and energy tonight. I thought they played well. They were skating hard. Like I said, they dominated the game for the most part. They were the better team, for 60 minutes, other than when they were shorthanded. I'm happy to give them a passing grade there. Progress, I think this is a step in the right direction. I think there's, this game overall will be looked at as a move towards, becoming a contender. Pride, I thought they showed a ton of pride. Again, unfortunately that pride is kind of biting them in the ass a little bit sometimes. But again, Anderson going out there and getting retribution on Trouba for the hit on Justin Barron. The standing up for each other, Arbor Jackeye getting in there, even though he ended up paying with it, because the referees seemed to have a bounty out on him or whatever. But they did play for a full 60 minutes. That's a passing grade. And while I'm hesitant to do this, I am going to give them a failing grade for discipline. I don't think that there was much they could do about their penalties tonight. Again, like I said, the double minor to Jackeye, I think, was a complete joke. Somebody in the comments can tell me what they think he did to deserve a double minor. I'm at a loss. I mean, the Anderson penalty was there's a phantom penalty. It just there was nothing there. And the Kirby Doc 4 minutes at the end of the game that ultimately cost them the win. It's just bad luck. I mean, it's just bad luck. I mean, obviously, maybe you could say, yeah, you got to be a little more careful with your stick, and you got to be. But again, I have a really hard time blaming him for that. So overall, it's a pretty good report card, especially considering that they came out of the game with a loss. Again, that's the purpose of the report card, guys. Right? The purpose of the report card is to judge the team not necessarily by the score. When you're a rebuilding team, sometimes the score isn't reflective of whether or not the result is a positive one or not. And I think overall tonight the positives outweighed the negatives, and the Canadians certainly can look at that game from a positive point of view, in my opinion. So yeah, Daniel, I liked Anderson's game today too. Anderson was certainly one of the main guys on our A team tonight, and I just got through talking about how well he did, and I thought, he definitely brought his game, and he certainly did a number of things that were, positives for the team. Think Doc was number 3 overall. I don't understand what you mean by that. What do you mean, Mark, that Doc was number 3 overall? Oh, number 3 draft pick overall. Yeah, I think that actually sounds right. Yeah, I think that sounds right. Frank, so Montreal gets to play Boston tomorrow afternoon. I wonder if Patrick will be playing his first game tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know. Patrick has no C in his name, by the way, Frank, just to let you know. I'm not sure. I had heard that it was possible he would be back as early as Sunday, but that it would more likely be Tuesday. I haven't heard anything. I quite honestly haven't really followed that closely to what's been going on with the team today. I've got a tiki night or a rum tasting night planned for about an hour and a half from now. So I've been running around getting myself organized for that. So I didn't even really get to watch the game as closely as I normally do. I actually watched most of the game while I worked out and did other things. So, but yeah, so I haven't followed closely. So I haven't really seen whether there's been any comments about Line A's status for tomorrow's game. This was Anderson's best game this year, in my opinion. Quick made the big saves. Monty didn't, though he didn't lose it for us. Showed last year's no quit attitude. Hope it continues. Yeah, I agree with that assessment for the most part, Mark. I'm not sure that it was Anderson's best game of the year. It certainly was one of them. I think Anderson's been having a great year. I think Anderson's been fantastic for the most part. Anderson and Gallagher, you could argue, are the best, the brightest lights for this team so far this season. I don't really have any issue with Monty or Montembeault and the goals that he let in tonight. I don't know that there were any that I would say he, absolutely flubbed. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. The Zibanejad goal was, deflected. Let's go. Let's see what we can see here. So the first goal was a power play at Panarin. Yeah, I mean, obviously you could make that save, but again, the Trocheck goal, he looked really out of position on the Trocheck goal. He kind of slid way out in the net. So I'll give you that one, that he didn't look great on the Trocheck goal. The Zibanejad goal, again, it's tough. He didn't seem to track the puck as well as he could have. And then the goal to win it by Kakko at the end. They're basically on a 5-on-3 because Armia has been taken out of the play, and he gets beat. So yeah, could he have made a save or two that would have made a difference? Yeah, probably. And if it would Carey Price and nets, maybe it's a bit of a different situation, but we don't have Carey Price anymore. So it is what it is. So yeah, but good analysis. I like that, Mark. Is Line A okay after the collision with Barron in practice? As far as I know, Daniel, there was nothing resulting from it other than it looked a little bit scary. As far as I know, there's been no issue out of it. What's up, Hexy? Come on over onto YouTube, man. Don't be scared of YouTube, guys. All you guys on TikTok, come on over, man. We won't bite over here. It's actually a much better place to have a conversation. There's far fewer trolls, and it's a much better place to have a chat. So I see Jared DeLuca. I see Hexy over there. I see who else is over here? Shane, Burn Dog, Bob Loblaw. Come on over, guys. All you got to do is go over to YouTube, open up your YouTube, and join the channel Recliner Sports 4, and get in on it. Come on over and have a chat with us. All right, Mark. Thanks, man. I appreciate you coming by. Have a good time. The show's going to be a little bit shorter than regular tonight because, like I said, I do have a rum night starting in about an hour and a half that I still have to do some preps for. So looks like the Habs play well enough to win this from what I saw in terms of the stats of the game. Yeah, I think that's probably right, Daniel. I think I would take it a step further and say that they were the much better team. The referees kind of got in the way a little bit for them tonight, which is not something I typically like to do, is blame the referees. I mean, I'm happy to criticize the referees, but I rarely will blame them for a loss. But I think they certainly played a big role in it tonight. So on to Boston. Yes, tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m. Lots of ceremonies tomorrow in Boston. I think they're celebrating their 100th anniversary of the franchise. So, I think there'll be a lot going on tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to be able to do the post-game show Habs After Dark tomorrow night. I guess it'll be early evening tomorrow. I will try to get on, but I'm not sure it's going to happen. But I will definitely try. But yeah, I agree, Daniel. We went through the stats. We go back, we'll have a look at the scoreboard here, guys, if you want. The scoreboard here. Let's see. Let's do this one here. Let's make it big. Yeah, so the shots were pretty even. High danger scoring chances, the Canadiens dominated. They only allowed 6 high danger scoring chances. That's good work against a team like the New York Rangers, right? If you remember a couple of weeks ago, they beat the Rangers beat the Canadiens 7-2, and absolutely dominated them. Expected goals, a full expected goal more than the Rangers for the Canadiens. So I think those are pretty good numbers for Montreal, and an indication that they did play a better game than the scoreboard would give them credit for. So, est-ce que Laine va jouer demain selon toi? J'ai aucune idée, Marc-Antoine. La semaine passée, j'ai entendu parler que ça se peut qu'il jouerait dimanche, alors demain, mais que c'était plus probable qu'il jouerait mardi. Alors, je pense qu'il y a une chance qu'il jouerait demain, mais probablement ça va être mardi. J'ai pas eu l'opportunité de regarder les points de presse aujourd'hui ou lire les médias. Alors, je ne sais pas si il y a une annonce à propos de le retour de Laine. Mais la dernière chose que j'ai entendue, c'était qu'il pourrait rejoindre l'équipe pour le match de demain contre Boston. Mais ça devrait être... probablement, ça devrait être pour mardi. Boo Bruins. Hey, what's up, Lucky? Thanks for coming by, man. I appreciate it. And I appreciate your contributions to the chat the other night with Coach Frenchie and Entertap and Marco and the gang. That was a good time. I had a good time over there. If you're not following, guys, if you're in the live here and you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Again, YouTube tells me by the analytics that only 35% of the people who watch Habs After Dark are actually subscribed to the channel. So I think we can do better than that. If you're enjoying the content, if you like it, hit the thumbs up button. There's a thumbs up button right down there below the screen. Just to my right over here a little bit. Sorry, the camera is kind of reversed, so it's hard for me to point in the right direction. But yeah, hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. It really does help the channel. It helps me. The more subscribers we get, the more things we can do here on YouTube. I want to do more stuff here on YouTube, but we have to have 500 subscribers to do some of the really cool stuff. Those of you who are, regulars with Coach Frenchie, you see some of the stuff that he's able to do with his subscribers and, offer, different things. We can't do that yet here because we don't have enough subscribers. So we're working on it. We've been doing this show for about 2 months now. We're up to about, I think, 150 subscribers. We're coming up on that. But that 500 subscribers is a big number. And if you're watching live, hit that subscribe button. And if you're watching it in a replay as well, if you enjoy the content and you just can't make it here when we go live after the games, which we do after every Canadiens game, then it certainly would be nice if you would subscribe as well. It does help, and we do appreciate it. So, Daniel, the Rangers for me are just a team that capitalize on the chances they do have, and the Habs have struggled a little bit in close checking games. Okay. I think the Rangers are a team that are struggling right now. One of the things I took from the last game the Canadiens played, I guess it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Rangers dominated the Canadiens. What I really took from that game was how good the Rangers are on the rush. They're really, really good on the rush. They weren't that great on the rush tonight. They didn't look nearly as good as they did in the previous game. But they are a veteran team with a lot of, good. Thank you for the thumbs up, guys. I see a bunch of them coming in there. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. They're like, they weren't as good. Philip Hedl had a really good game the last game. I think he's just coming off an injury, but he didn't look as good tonight. But yeah, the Rangers took advantage of their opportunities, right? They got a few power plays and they took advantage of them. I'm not sure I agree with you that the Canadiens have struggled in close checking games. If you look at the season as an overall, Daniel, I think it's something that they're getting better at. I think their physical game is coming around. Thank you for the thumbs up, guys. Their physical game, I think, is coming around. So, it's a good assessment, I would say. Again, veteran team against a young team. We saw it with Las Vegas last Saturday. They take advantage of their opportunities, whereas the Canadiens sometimes don't. There was a power play. I can't remember what it was. I think it was in the third period where the Canadiens had like literally 3 chances on an empty net and just couldn't bury the puck. And those are the kind of things that, teams like the New York Rangers and the Vegas Golden Knights and the Florida Panthers and the Colorado, like they don't miss those kinds of opportunities. They bury their opportunities. So, did Montreal put RHP on waivers today? There was a rumor on Facebook, but I didn't believe it. I don't believe they did, Frank. I think they certainly would have talked about that during the game. They didn't. They did bring him back. His conditioning loan, his LTIR loan to Laval expired last night, and so they had to bring him back, and they did. But I don't know what they're planning to do with him. I would assume that he's on their roster as of right now. I can check if you want to give me 10 seconds here. Let's go to puckpedia.com. So as of right now, Raphael Harvey-Pinard is listed. Well, he's still on LTIR. So I don't know how that works. I don't know how long. Maybe he's allowed to stay on for a day or two. I don't know how it works. They are going to have to take him off of LTIR, though. Yeah, they are going to have to take him off LTIR. And when they do that, they're going to... So they have, They've got 12, 16, 18, 20. Yeah, they've got room. They've got room to hold him there. So all of that is part of the rebuild and development of the team, though. That's what makes Anderson and Gallagher good, though, because they play that more physical game, gritty game. Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys who are bringing that a little bit more now, right, Daniel? I think, obviously Anderson and Gallagher are doing it. On the back end, you've got, Struble and Jack Guy who are capable of doing it and are doing it. Gooley is capable of doing it as well. Even On the fours, I think you make a good point, because I mean, guys like Doc and Slavkovsky, that's something that they haven't really been able to bring to their game as much as you'd like to see just yet. So yeah, I agree. That's again, when you say close checking, there's a difference, I think, between close checking and physical, right? Like, it's funny now, we have to distinguish between the word checking, and we have to checking versus hitting, right? Checking, a player like Lane Hutson's a very good checker. He's not a big hitter. Like, he's not going to, throw a lot of big hits. But, he's certainly good at checking his opponent and keeping him in check, and getting in positions to, impede his opponent from making offensive plays. So, do I think Montembeault is a legitimate number one? I do. I don't think he's one of the better number ones in the league, Daniel. Just because of his consistency right now, I think he needs to be more consistent. I don't have any issue with Montembeault as the number one. I think his game has been a little inconsistent. When he's on, he's quite good. When he's off, he's not that good. But I certainly think there are a number of teams in the NHL would certainly be happy to have Samuel Montembeault as their number one goalie. Is he going to be a top 10 player in the league? Is he going to be a top 10 goalie in the league? Is he going to be a Vezina candidate? Not right now. I mean, goalies are pretty, goalies are volatile. I mean, goalies can be really awesome, and then they can be really crappy. So, again, I think Montembeault is still getting better. I think he's still developing. But he's definitely a legit. I mean, again, I don't know what the argument against him being a legitimate number one in the NHL is. To me, if there are at least a half dozen to 8 teams in the NHL whose number one goalie are not as good as Sam Montembeault. And some that, maybe even more than that. Again, it depends on, what you're viewing as Montembeault. I mean, his upside is quite good. I just think he needs to be a little bit more consistent. Matthews and Nyes are back tonight. Okay, that'll be good. Hopefully it doesn't mess up the chemistry with what they've been doing, but yeah, Savard doesn't shy away either. Again, I think there's a difference between, checking and hitting, right? I mean, checking is, being good defensively, and, you don't have to blow a guy up to be a good checker. But yeah, Savard's foot speed is, the biggest issue with him right now. And, I think he's fine. I just don't think he is, he doesn't, foot speed obviously isn't, one of his strong suits. Let's put it that way. Berube has really helped the development of Nyes being more of that power forward type. Yeah. Again, I'm not following the Leafs closely enough to know the ins and outs of what's going on that way. Nyes, I think, had those abilities in him to begin with. It's just a matter of him using them. So yeah, I think Nyes is one of Toronto's better players. I like Nyes. I think he's really good, and I think he brings a lot to the table. Thanks, Daniel. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the comments, and thanks for the chat. Come on back next time. I'm going to try and go live tomorrow night after the game, guys. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to. We're only going to be on for about another 10 more minutes, guys, and then we're going to end it. If you're over there on TikTok, I see you. There's only a couple of you over there. Bobby, I see over there. If you're on TikTok and you want to join the conversation, you want to be a part of it, you have to come over to YouTube, guys. The channel is called Recliner Sports. The show is called Habs After Dark. If you want to be part of the conversation, you have to come over here to do it. We're not engaging in the comments on TikTok anymore. In fact, we're not doing anything on TikTok anymore. The only reason I have the TikTok live open is just to let you guys know that we're here and to give you the opportunity and invite you over to join us and join the conversation over here on YouTube. So we'd love for you to come on over. But again, if I think YouTube is a much better platform for this and for anything. The comments are far more productive and objective, and there's, a lot less trolling, and I don't have to deal with all of that. So, again, if you want to have the conversation and you're over there, you need to come over here to do it. Frank, I think further down the line, 3 years from now, Monty will be a good backup. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. Is Montembeault, who becomes the number one? Is Jacob Fowler going to continue to develop and be the guy? Is somebody else? Is Dobesh going to be the guy? Is Mikas Vikvanek's going to be the guy? Is Volokin going to be the guy? Is Emmett Croteau going to be the guy? There's all kinds of guys who could come into the conversation. And at that point, does Montembeault become your backup? Do they become his backup? What does Montembeault develop into? Like, he's still quite young himself, right? And goalies don't always develop, or they don't typically develop very quickly. So, Montembeault could become a guy who develops later. Like, look at a guy like Tim Thomas. Look at some of the goaltenders. Dominic Hasek, who what did I hear today or yesterday on the radio? Something about, it was 13 years after he was drafted that Tim Thomas became a full-time goalie in the NHL, right? And then he, for about 5 or 6 years, he was, one of the best goalies in the league. So, the goaltending position can be kind of volatile. So, I think it's hard to try and predict that far down the road, Frank. Wasim Daoud. What's going on? Bou Daoud. I like it. Great name. Those refs suck. This is why the NHL is and will always be a small league. Yeah, it's definitely the main thing that's holding this league back, I would say, Wasim. The refereeing in the NHL is horrendous. And I mean top to bottom. I mean, the rules are poorly written. The rule book is bad. The referees themselves are bad. They don't apply the rules properly. They're given far too much discretion over certain things and far too little discretion over other things. They have no ability or skill as far as game management is concerned. They're not taught that. They don't learn that. They don't know how to do that. They go out on their own and do their own thing way too much. Like tonight is a perfect example, right? There's clearly a sense amongst NHL referees that Arbor Jackie's a bad guy, right? Arbor Jackie's a bad guy, and we have to treat him differently than we do other players. And I'm not saying Arbor Jackie's the only guy who that happens to. We've seen it in the past with Brendan Gallagher. We've seen it in the past with, other players on other teams, right? But that's not good officiating, right? Because you did something in a previous game, or because the refs perceive you as a guy who plays, even if it's legitimate, even if they perceive you to be a dirty player who's been dirty in the past, that can't be a factor in determining whether or not you should have penalties called on you in today's game, right? Because you did something dirty, or something that referee perceived as dirty, 10 games ago, or 5 games ago, doesn't mean that you can be treated, or should be treated, or can be treated any differently in today's game. It's just not, that's not good officiating. That's not the way hockey works. And these referees are given far too much discretion, and they take way too much discretion to sort of officiate the game to their own ends, as opposed to officiating the game, to the ends of being fair and protecting the players from injury, right? It's terrible. And nobody's talking about it, right? Nobody's talking about it. Nobody gets it. And it's the media that won't talk about it, right? The media are just so subservient to the league. Like the national media, who are, actually could maybe bring attention to this enough that it might change. They don't, because they don't want to say anything negative about the league, because they're scared. They're scared they're going to lose their access. They're scared that they're going to lose, their opportunity to be able to talk to if you criticize the league, you're criticizing the owners. And if you criticize the owners, and the owners decide that they don't want to give you the access, and you're Elliot Friedman, guess what? You can't be Elliot Friedman anymore, right? If the GMs won't talk to you and the coaches won't talk to you, and this guy, you can't be Elliot Friedman, you can't be Frank Saravalli, you can't be, those guys if you're on the wrong side of certain people. So usually for me, the tight checking games do turn out to be a physical game because nothing is. Yeah, fair enough, Daniel. But again, I'm trying to draw the distinction between like big hits and close checking. Close checking is where you don't give time and space to the other team, and you're in their face all the time. Whereas sometimes you see these games where the guys are just out there just like throwing haymakers at each other, big bomb body checks all the time, and I think those are two different things. Wasim, the main issue with sports in North America is that refs are too protected, and compared to European football, refs are interviewed. Yeah, I don't agree with that, Wasim. I don't agree with that. I don't agree that the referees should be interviewed or made accessible to the media after the games. European football, that might be the case. That's the exception. The comparison that I make is with rugby refereeing, which is something that I was involved in with for a while. The biggest issue is that the referees are given a higher level of autonomy, or they're taking a higher level of autonomy, and they're not being told not to. They're being allowed to get away with it. So again, they go on the ice and they referee the game the way they want to see it done, as opposed to the way it ought to be done or the way it should consistently be done. And I think the league needs to do more as far as training the referees to do things a certain way so that there's a level of consistency from game to game and from referee to referee. Access to VAR, I don't disagree with that. I think that could be a change. I think I kind of like the idea of having somebody in the stands with a headset on and a microphone, that can speak to the referees on the ice and let them know if there's something that's gone on, and maybe returning back to one referee instead of two. I think again, I'm drawing the comparison to rugby, which is, that happens in rugby. So in rugby, you've got one referee, you've got two touch judges, both of whom are mic'd up and can talk to the referee at any time. And then you've got, a video ref who doesn't talk directly to the referee unless he's asked to or she's asked to. But yeah, I think there could be some level of video referee. But again, I know hockey will never do that because it's just, they're too old school. Colin Campbell was just inducted into the NHL Hall of Fame, right? He's one of the head honchos when it comes to, the officiating and all of that. He's one of the main guys. He's a guy who's a cheater, right? Colin Campbell emailed referees and told them to referee differently when his son was playing hockey, right? And wrote emails to referees criticizing them for the way they refereed games when his son was playing, right? Like, that's absurd. It's absurd that guy is still working for the NHL, let alone the fact that they just inducted him into the Hockey Hall of Fame. And that's a story that hasn't been, it's been told, but not to any great degree. Like, this is a guy who was inducted into the NHL or to the Hockey Hall of Fame this year, and is one of Gary Bettman's best friends, and he's one of the main guys in the NHL, in the NHL offices, and who is very much involved with refereeing, officiating, and discipline, and this is who he is, right? And this is the old boy network that you're never gonna, they don't want to change. They're never gonna change. Thanks, Frank. I appreciate it. I will not be drinking and driving. I will be staying home. Rum night is happening in my tiki bar down in the basement, so I don't have to go anywhere. David Jiricek traded to the Wild card. Oh, to the Wild. Oh, did that just happen? Interesting. I wouldn't have thought as the Wild as somebody who needed him that badly. Who did they get in return? European football refs are by far the most correct. Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't follow soccer that closely, Aiden. it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I would say that soccer is probably the most corrupt sport, period. And I mean, I think that probably has to do with the amount of money that's involved. Without getting into any types of stereotypes, I would say because of some of the countries that are involved. But yeah, again, I mean, anytime you have an international sport like that, I think you're going to be prone to a lot of corruption. And it's too bad. I don't think I think there's parts of soccer refereeing that I think the NHL could sort of learn from, but I agree with you for the most part, Aiden, that's probably not the best place to look for examples from. So, all right, guys, I think that's going to be pretty much close to the end of it. Damon Hunt and draft picks. What kind of draft picks? I've never heard of Damon Hunt. Who's Damon Hunt? Let's find out. Let us find out. So we've got the Minnesota Wild, and this website is really slow. The Minnesota Wilds, where are they? The Wild. And we've got their depth chart. So Damon Hunt, you say. So Damon Hunt he's a defenseman playing in the minors in the American League. He's 22 years old. He is 6'1", 201 pounds. He's a left-hand shot defenseman. He's on year 3 of his contract. So his ELC is ending this year. And his stats are... Show me some stats here, fellers. Let's see everything. He played 1 game for Minnesota this year, and he played 12 games for them last year. He has 1 assist. So far this year in Iowa, he has 4 assists in 9 games. That is a low return. So I would be interested to know what where was he drafted? He was drafted... Where does it say when he was drafted? Does it say on here? 3rd round draft pick in 2020. Yeah. So they got a 1st round draft pick out of it, and a 1st, a 2nd, and a 4th. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense when you think that Columbus had specifically said they wanted a player in return, but all right, gang. That's going to be it for tonight. I do appreciate everybody for coming by. It was a quick show. A little quicker than usual, but other things are going on. So Montreal Canadiens go down 4-3 to the New York Rangers. Unfortunately for them, I thought they played a very good game. I thought they were the dominant team. I thought they deserved better. The referees definitely were a significant factor in this game. Again, I'm normally very hesitant to blame a result on the referees, but they definitely were the blame tonight. The Canadiens dominated the Rangers in all aspects. The Rangers scored 3 of their 4 goals on the power play. They just weren't able to take advantage of their chances. So tomorrow afternoon, they have a chance to bring it all back. They play the Boston Bruins at 4 p.m. my time. That would be, I think it's 4 p.m. my time. Might be 5 p.m. my time. Anyways, doesn't matter. They get back on the ice tomorrow with the Bruins. Maybe Patrick Laine is back. We shall see. So anyways, I appreciate everybody for coming. Everybody that's been here live tonight in the comments or otherwise. If you're just sitting back watching, I love that too. If you're not following yet, if you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. The show here is called Habs After Dark. We go live after every Montreal Canadiens game. It's usually about 15 minutes or so after the game before we get ourselves organized and get here live on YouTube. But you can come and watch us. So we're on every night. Every time the Canadiens play, we're here. I shouldn't say that. We're almost every time the Canadiens play, we're here. So if you're watching, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you're watching it later today, if you're watching it tomorrow or the day after, and you're enjoying the content, give us a thumbs up. There's a thumbs up button sort of right below here. Also subscribe. Like I said, YouTube tells me that only 35% of the people who are watching this show are actually subscribed. It really does help us. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. That's a threshold for YouTube that allows us to do some cool stuff. All right, Hunter. All right, Zach. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming by. You have a good one as well. Good luck tonight to the Leafs fans. Sort of, I guess. Yeah. So if you're not subscribed, guys, whether you're watching live or you're watching it in a replay, it does certainly help us. We're trying to grow the channel. We've been on here for a couple months. We're at about 150 subscribers. I think that's pretty good, but it certainly could be a lot better. So if you're over on TikTok, then you should come on over here and subscribe over here as well. But that's it for tonight. I appreciate everybody. Thank you for coming again. Canadians go down 4-3 to the New York Rangers. A good game overall. I think a positive game, but it's another loss, and they'll get a chance tomorrow to bring it all around. So thanks again. We will see you in the next one, and that's it for now. Peace out.
To Hoffman, Monahan parked in front, docks to Caulfield, fires, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark